God allowed Satan to put Job to the test. Job lost everything. He lost his children. He lost his home. He lost his cattle. He lost all his possessions, and he lost it in the spur of a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. It was all gone. And then to make matters worse, not only did Job lose his wealth, Job lost his health. Body became infested with sores from the sole of his feet to the crown of his head. And life for Job was almost unbearable. Well, he had some friends that came over to try to console him, and they only made matters worse. They tried to comfort him, but they had to end up suggesting that, Job, maybe you are to blame for all your own troubles. You must have done something wrong, Job, that has angered God to the point where he is punishing you, and punishing you mighty badly. Things got so bad that at one point during the conversation with his friends, Job looked at his situation and concluded that it would be better had he not even been born. Had gone from the cradle to the grave. Eventually, the suffering became so unbearable, Job finally began to question the rationale of his suffering, because to him, it just did not seem right. Just did not make any natural sense. Didn't make any natural sense. In his frustration about his suffering, Job concluded that he needed to take this matter up straight with God himself. Job said, I want to argue my case. And I want to go straight to the master and find out why I'm experiencing so much pain and suffering. In other words, Job had the audacity to decide that he was basically going to put God on trial. Have God defend himself against Job's complaints. Have God account for all this trouble, all this trials, all this tribulation, all this suffering that Job was going through, because why? He was a good man. This suffering, the amount of pain, was not only uncalled for, it was absolutely unnecessary. And I can imagine in my spiritual eye, Job calling God to the witness stand to account for his own actions as to why he had to go through what he was going through. Can you imagine? Just go with me for a second in your spiritual mind. Here's Job calling God to testify. All right. For the record, would you state your name? I am. Oh, okay. Well, I am. Do you promise to tell the truth? The whole truth? And nothing but the truth? And I can imagine God just looking at Job saying, are you serious? Well, I am. Can you tell me, why is it that as an honorable man, a man who has loved you, who has walked upright, listen, I work hard every day. I do whatever you've asked me to do. I treat everybody right. I'm perfect in my actions. Perfect in my actions towards man. Perfect in my actions towards you. I'm always trying to do the right thing. And you know I love you. Why do I have to suffer like this? Why me, Lord? And I can imagine God looking at Job and saying, Job, why not you? You are perfect for the test. But here in our story, we see where Job missed the opportunity to fully trust God in times of trouble. Oh, my goodness, I believe that this is the thing that really got God a little upset with Job, so much so that he had to chastise Job and put Job in his place. And so God essentially said to Job, Job, who are you to question me? Who are you to question me about my will? Who you to question me about my power? Who are you to question me about my sovereignty? Who are you to question me about my wisdom? Who are you to question me about my knowledge? Who are you to question me about my understanding? You want me to explain myself and testify to you as to why you are going through trials and tribulations in your life. You want to know if I have seen you and I know the troubles and the hardships you're going through. Well, guess what? I can answer all your questions. Every single question you have, Job, I can answer. But before I answer your questions, Job, I have a few questions of my own. Job, get ready, my brother, because I don't think you can stand what's about to come. Where were you, Job, when I laid the foundations of the earth? When the waters came down upon the earth and the earth was dark and without form? How did it move upon the face of the deep? Tell me, Job, if you know. Where is the home of the east wind, Job? Where does light come from? Who decreed the boundaries of the sea? How did the atmosphere and the hemisphere become separated? You have so much to say. I want you to speak and answer me now. How are you going to call me to testify against myself? How did the earth get its limits, Job, and the world get birthed into existence? Who created the continents in a world that's yet to be discovered? Was it you, Job? I want you to tell me if you know. Have you commanded the morning to appear? Can you, Job, hold back the stars? Can you, Job, make lightning dance across the sky? Can you, Job, shout to the clouds and make it rain? Oh, my goodness. Job, in 38 and 39, the book of Job, God asked Job over 50 questions, and Job could not answer even one. But here's the truth of the matter, saints. It wasn't so much that Job couldn't answer the question. You see, he didn't have to really answer the question because in and of itself, the questions needed no answer. They were rhetorical in nature. Why? Because it wasn't so much about knowing the answers. It was about knowing the source of the answers. You see, when you're experiencing troubles in your life, when you're in a state of suffering, remember this: God wants you to take your eyes off of your suffering and put your trust in Him. Because He is the source of all your needs. Job was hurting so bad. Job was in so much pain that he was beginning to lose his confidence in God as the source of his healing. And God had to remind him that it wasn't about the suffering. And if you recall, when God answered Job, He never even mentioned the suffering to Job. It wasn't about the suffering because at the end of the day, God needed Job to know that it was He, God, that was still in control. Have you gone through anything to make you think that God is not there? Well, let me remind you, He is still in control. And if Job could not answer any of the questions regarding the hemisphere, if he could not answer any of the questions that God gave to him regarding the animal kingdom and creation of mankind himself, how could he possibly answer the question of the justness of God? How could he possibly answer the question of the character of God? How could he possibly answer the question about the mind of God? And this is the message He has for us today. The Lord wants you to know that no matter what you're going through, He expects you to keep on trusting Him in spite of what you see, because there is a greater plan at work. In the 139th Psalm, David said it like this: "O Lord, Thou hast searched me and known me. You know my down sitting and you know my uprising. You understand my thoughts afar off. You are acquainted with all my ways. Your knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is too high, and I cannot obtain it." You see, even when you don't understand what God is doing, you have to trust that He has it all under control. Even when the outcome of your situation seems bleak and confusing, you have to trust that He cares about you and He's going to bring you out. Listen, God intends for every one of us, every single one of us, to have life and to have it more abundantly.